One of the tools that we're going to use to try to bridge to the gospel is we're going to learn how to share our testimony in about 15 to 30 seconds. And this is a great way that you can enter into a conversation that will hopefully lead to you being able to share the gospel. And so we're going to focus on three aspects of our testimony, which is like a lot of testimonies you may have prepared in the past. We're going to look at our life before Christ. We're going to look at our encounter, what brought us to salvation, and we'll give a brief gospel presentation here, and then our life after Christ. And we're going to start every conversation with the simple phrase, "There was a time in my life." And then what we're going to do is we're going to come up with a few descriptive words or phrases that kind of describe your life before Christ. And so for me, might be I was lost, didn't have any focus or purpose in my life. And so there was a time in my life where I was lost, didn't have any focus or purpose in my life, and I was seeking for that. And then we're going to describe kind of the gospel. How did you come to salvation? How did you come to know Jesus? So for me, there was a time in my life where I was lost, didn't have any focus or purpose in my life. And then I made a choice to follow Jesus, and I learned that He was God, that He died for my sins and rose again from the grave. And I put my faith and trust in Jesus. And now I'm going to come up with 2 or 3 descriptive words that describe my life after Christ. So for me, I found focus for my life, and I found a purpose, and I found joy and peace. So there was a time in my life where I was lost, didn't have any focus or purpose in my life, and I was really searching for that. I decided to follow Jesus, and I learned that He was God, that He died for my sins and rose again from the grave. And I put my faith and trust in Jesus. And now I have focus and purpose in my life. And because of that, I have absolute joy and peace. And we're going to end with this simple phrase. Question: do you have a story like that? So there was a time in my life where I was lost, didn't have any focus or purpose in my life, and I was searching for that. And I followed Jesus, and I learned that He was God, that He died for my sins, and rose again from the grave so that I could have life. And now my life has focus and purpose, and because of that, I have joy and peace in my life. Do you have a story like that? And this is the bridge, because we want to give them the opportunity to respond. And so the whole idea of this is not to focus on your whole story, but narrow it down to these few words that are descriptive in a way that could maybe connect with the person you're talking to. And then give them an opportunity to respond. Do you have a story like that? So it opens up the floor for them to dialogue. And this will be a bridge that we'll use to share the gospel. So I'd like each of you to learn this, write these phrases down, write out this diagram just like I did, come up with your own words, give a brief description of how you came to Christ. This can be different for everybody, but the key is to keep it simple. Even if you just said, I realized that Jesus died for my sins and rose again from the grave, that's enough. Some people, maybe a Sunday school teacher introduced me to Christ, or my parents, or a friend, or I went to a church service and I heard the gospel for the first time. But just the key is keep it to 15 to 30 seconds. Don't get overly elaborate in your description. And then again, a few words that describe your life now that maybe could connect with the person you might be thinking of. And so you don't have to have just one testimony either. You could have several different versions of this, several different words that you might think could connect with the person you're talking to. So just keep that in mind. But once you get the framework down, it's really easy to change it up. So at least have one version that you can share. And I would encourage you to train 3 people, 3 believers, to be able to share their testimony. And then share with 3 people that are not believers. just for practice, so you get to be able to use this tool. So this is how we're going to use the testimony to bridge to the gospel. God bless.